You're gonna watch and learn how to build mission tunnels. Something you need to get better at. Did you watch anyone, or did you learn how to build your tunnels for missions? I'm trying to think. I watched a couple videos on YouTube, like, back in the day, but...
Anime.
Man, White Sushi's spreadsheet also has some basic trap tunnel stuff. So, basically, you can do almost any mission with, like, 2 basic tunnel designs, and then just finding ways to fit that into the terrain. And a couple principles. So, first thing you want to do, you want to put the tunnels between the spawns and the objective, obviously. You want to be 3 tiles away from the spawn, so the spawn doesn't break it. But you want to have it away from the objective so that you're not fighting them at the base. So this is a decent compromise right here. Then, when you look at the cloud on the map, stand in the center of the cloud, look at the objective. Now, it's a Cat 4, so we don't necessarily know where they're going to attack. These husks could be going to A or B, probably. But let's say they're going to A. Well, let's say we're going to there because that's the one that I know where it is. So
I cannot understand how can you see what they are doing.
How can you see what they're doing? Well, you just guess. Stand in the center of the cloud, and you think, if a husk comes here, are there going to be husks spawning here going to D? Probably not. I don't think that's how Cat 4s work. But they could possibly go to A or B. But if a husk appears here, he wants to go to A. It's going to take the straightest path possible.
Double somersault.
So the straightest path would be around this corner, right to the objective. So you want to look at the path that the husk wants to take. If you didn't do any building, what's the straightest path they would take? And then build a tunnel that sort of encloses that path without making them go too far off of it. If you push them...
I already know if we don't want like some zombies to go somewhere and change and make a diversion, how many structures should we build for a diversion?
Well, I don't do a lot of that because usually it's easier to let the husks go where they want to go and then trap them along the way.
I want them going there. I want them to be going over there. What should I do?
That is going to be really hard. So if you wanted to do that, the way to do that would be basically you have to make it so it's going to be slower for them to bash through all of the walls than to just walk around. And slower is not exactly the right word. What I would do here, I'd just launch them off the edge. If you wanted to block them.
But still, they would try to go. But
then what you want to do? You want to do something like this. So now to get through this, they have to break all 3 pieces, and then you upgrade that all the way. You're going to want to use metal or something too. Maybe not this mission. Tier 3 stone, and then do like rows and rows of those. But to go around this way, I think you'd have to block pretty heavily. Because when I said slower, it's not exactly slower. The husks like bashing more than they like blocking, so you have to put a lot of stuff in their way for them to go around it.
Like one of my friends was saying, you need to put at least nine structures to break.
Something like that. So once you've identified the path the husks are going to take, like this, now you think, how am I going to fit these basic designs in? So here's one of the basic designs you can use, the S-curve. Okay, it's 1 by 2. Very simple. And the objective here is we want to push the husks out. They're going to keep shooting out of this. They want to walk in here, push them out there, push them out here. So we want to use the wooden floor spikes to slow them down. This gives the traps time to reload. And then if they make it past that, let's do a freeze. And then we'll put in these walls, so they have to walk the long way. Stops them from just cutting diagonally through the center. Now they have to walk further along this, which is doing some damage and slowing them down and giving the traps time to reload. And now they have to walk all the way across this, which gives them time to get hit by the freeze. And time to get hit by whatever damage we have in here. Can do that there, and the gas here. I used to do the gas first, back before they nerfed gas traps. Gas traps used to do damage over time. Now you gotta damage them on the tile. So put it on the freeze where they're gonna stay. And then you may as well use every surface for traps if you can. I'm gonna use broadside here because broadside, the cannonballs bounce back and forth. That's how they do most damage. Here I'm going to use darts because these darts have a much faster reload, so it could hit them 2 or 3 times while they're walking to the objective. Okay, that's the S-curve. Then,
Some zombies are spawning from over here also.
where? Well, we gotta assume that they're going to spawn everywhere, because the spawns will move during the defense.
Oh.
So the next one, okay. These dudes. They're probably going to come this way at C. Now we can do another S-curve here. And notice the S-curve has a diagonal motion to it. So you can use that when the husks are going to want to come in one side and go out the other, like this. But sometimes, like, we could do that here, maybe. Oh, actually, don't do that. Ah. Oh, but here's a classic thing to do. Classic move against the husks. Pushing them off the edge. Anytime there's an edge, you gotta think, how can I make husks go off that edge? Because if they don't already want to go off the edge, like if the objective was down there, they're just going to go off the edge. But if they're not going to go off the edge by themselves, that means you're going to slow them down by pushing them off the edge. So here, push them off the edge. Now my wall launchers will push them off the edge even from over there. So if we put in a little wall to make them walk next to it, now they're probably going to get pushed off that edge. And hey, why not here too? Wait, I don't need that. Oops. Oh, shit. Floor launcher. Okay, so it's always good to have wooden floor spikes in front of a launcher like this, where if they cut across this corner, then that's going to be kind of a problem. So I will do that. Okay, so now when they come in, they have to kind of walk the long way across a few of these tiles. That'll slow them down, give the traps time to reload, and do just a negligible amount of damage. Finally, these again. And this is exactly the same as the other one.
Already now, can I ask you one thing about this tunnel?
Yes.
Tunnel?
Yes.
The tunnel. You made a tunnel towards towards the left side, but what if the zombies come over here?
Yes, indeed. So, that's likely. Now actually, okay, so generally you want to build a wall across whatever way you think the husks are going to come. It's called a funnel. And you'll have an opening, and then you want walls, like 2 or 3 walls on each side of the opening, just to sort of trap any husks that are going in that direction, so they'll have to walk through the hole. Walls serve 3 purposes in trapping. Number 1, to path the husks, meaning a wall that you want the husks to avoid going near at all. You'll just block that path so they have to go somewhere else. They won't even come near the wall. Number 2, walls put traps on. These are walls that the husks walk past, and you want to trap them when they walk past the trap. And number 3, walls that blocks, like a wall that the husk will bash. You want to avoid that. But sometimes you can't avoid that, and that's when you want to use wall spikes. The wooden wall spikes do lots of damage to husks that hit the wall. So anytime you're putting a wall somewhere where you think a husk is going to hit it, you can use the wall spikes. But in the pathing walls generally don't need to be upgraded except for blockades. When you're talking about blocking off a direction, like if you wanted them to avoid going on that side of the mountain and go around this side instead, that's when you put a lot of like tier 3 walls, because they're going to see that those tier 3 walls are there and think about how long it's going to take to break through and then not even go that way.
And do you know if like husks walk from here to the right side? They won't.
So that's pretty unlikely. They could. The risk of that is if we're over here, then they might be attracted. The husks generally, if they don't see us, they just want to go straight for the objective. But if they see us, if we get in their way, then they're going to get distracted and come after us. So a husk wouldn't normally come all the way around here unless there's some objective that they want that's on this side. Because if they were to come through here and then like go to the objective through this way, that's a lot more walking than if they just went straight.
I need to learn a lot about crafting, but I shouldn't build good crafting.
So I'm not sure that this tunnel will get used, but let's assume it will, and critique it. Other than that, one thing that is going to be an issue: these floors here. If the husks can't, whenever you got these weird like the steps around like this, you got to watch out for putting floors on the edge, because if you can't walk up like this, husks can't walk up. They're going to come to this edge and start bashing it. So you can take that out if you wanted to go up that way. Probably take these corners out too, so make this like that. Then, an opportunity presents itself. You could put like a ceiling round up here. Get them as they walk up the stairs. Ceiling round or gas trap or something. Okay, so let's say they're going to... If they're going to D from here, D's in the air, so they can't get to it. If they're going to C from here, they're going to come up here. So this is good. Hitting them with stuff is good. I would use drop traps on the top, like Toxic said. Drop traps are good when you have a slope like this, because they'll fall down and push all the husks down.
Okay, can you put like 2 rock traps over here? Like up here. Up here.
And hitting them from the back, this is good. I usually use the wall darts for that. As a rule of thumb, I'll use the broadsides when it's like when there's going to be another wall close by, so the cannonballs can bounce back and forth. And darts if it's open on the other side. Here, the punchers probably good. I'm not sure, they might get, like, I'm not sure how high they have to be to get hit by that. They might get caught on this wall, but the punchers actually, the husks will go up a little bit, so that's probably okay. One more thing to say about this anime. When you have the launcher and the floor and wall puncher together like this, you want to make sure that they have different reload times. So I have a second wall launcher schematic just for this, because if it's the same reload time, then they'll both trigger at the same time when a husk goes on, and then after that, every time a husk goes on, they're both going to trigger at the same time, which means you're basically using twice the durability, and you're just they're going to launch diagonally instead of out, which probably doesn't make a difference. Instead, I would do, if you have 2 different reload times, you could do that. Like, I think when it goes off, it'll hit all the husks that are on it, so it's either going to hit, either they're both hit or neither will. If you have wooden floor spikes, you could do those on the ground. Just do one or the other, or if you have 2 different reload times, then you can use them together like this. And then here, when you have husks going around a corner like this toward the objective, this is a great opportunity for a wall launcher. It'll push them back. Anytime you push them away from the objective, then you're making them then you're winning, basically. You're making them take longer to where they want to go. This one, right? Yeah. Okay, the floor launcher. I guess this will stun a crowd of husks, so that could be useful. But generally, I would use wooden floor spike on a place like this where you want to slow them down. Sometimes I wonder, I'm not really sure about this, if it's bad to create a traffic jam in a place like this. Like if you have a bunch of husks walking into this and you stun them, now they're flopping around. If other husks can't get past, are the propanes going to get frustrated and throw their propanes or something? I don't know if they really work that way anymore. But that's maybe just a superstition, but that's one reason I would use the floor spikes here. Or, in fact, you can do floor spikes in the beginning, so before they get in. And then put some damage here. The ceiling's good. The broadside, again, like the other one, I would use darts since it's not going to bounce back. Or even like you could put if we don't care about making a traffic jam, you could put freeze on the ground and then dynamo on the side. Freeze amplifies the damage that anything else does while they're frozen. So I like to use those with the dynamo just because it does a ton of damage. In here, freeze is good with the broadsides like this. Broadsides on opposite sides, it'll bounce back and forth a lot. That does a lot of damage. This is a lot of freeze here. You could probably... what is it about freeze? I think freeze... when you have a lot of traps like this with relatively low durability, then I think it's good to alternate these with the floor spikes, because floor spikes they have shitload of durability. They keep the husks walking slow for 2 tiles. So if you have wooden floor spike here, then they'll be slowed for this tile and all the rest of the next tile if you had damage or something there. The freeze, I think, only will freeze something like half the husks that walk on it. But eventually, if this defense goes on long enough, they'll start using up a lot of the freezes in the beginning. And then here again, you could use darts or dynamos, something like that. And on this corner, another good place for a wall launcher. Keep pushing them back away from the objective. Then you're pushing them back in the tunnel, and they have to keep going through your same traps again. So this gets a lot more mileage out of the same traps if you can keep pushing them back. Other than that, seems good. Well, okay, so down here, these aren't going to get used, I think, because the objective they're going to is, if we say it's B, like there's probably no reason for a husk to walk all the way down here, especially since this is blocked off. If there's an objective over here, they just walk around. If the objective is this, they're going to leave the tunnel as soon as they can. There you go. Okay, so now, I suppose they're going to...
Critique my tunnel? Can you critique my tunnel after this?
Yes, I can. Okay, if we say they're going to B from here, now they have an option. Actually, those bits toxic. Bits because you're tired. Interesting. Okay, so the husk could decide to go up here, bash on the ceiling. Now they're going to get hit by the ceiling trap. You may want a trap there also. And they'll get hit by the broadside, probably while they're up here too. Or they could walk all the way around. If you want them to walk all the way around, what I would do is just enclose this. So you could put walls up here. Put wall spikes on this in case they try to break through. Now you're getting them either way. Either they're so while they're here, they're getting hit by these broadsides, which are now bouncing back and forth, doing extra damage. If they hit this wall, they're taking a lot of damage. This does 42,000 damage, or 176,000 if it crits, which is 33% of the time. And I think that this is every time they hit it. So a husk will hit the wall, what, like once every second? Yeah, they have a ton of durability. So do floor spikes. My floor spikes have 621 durability, the legendary ones. I usually use the blue ones, which are still almost 500. Yeah, so then the other thing, if they decide not to bash the wall, they'll come down here. Then they'll get hit by all these freezes and broadsides. And then you'd want a wall launcher there. Aha, yes. Good, good. Okay, so drop trap's good there. The wall light. So they're going to come here, they're going to get stunned. Stunned while they're hit by the drop trap. And we will use wall launchers more often than spikes. Nice. Yeah, launchers. I used to say wall launchers, floor spikes are the most important traps. I guess I still would say that. They nerf wall launchers a little bit. So over here you could put darts to get them while they're stunned, because they're going to be standing here for a few seconds. And these darts might actually hit twice. These have a reload of 4.2 seconds. And the lights, I don't know how long those last. Oh, so my lights at least say 3.2 seconds. So hit them once, but still.
I like 2.5 seconds stun time.
Yeah. Another thing you could do, if you want to take advantage of them being stunned, because you got to think, like, when you're creating the stun effect, what do you want to happen during that time? If the husks are just standing here, that's not helping that much. The drop trap, I guess, is what you want them to wait around and get hit by the drop trap, since that does have a long reload time. But as long as they're stopped here, you may as well use the darts. Now here, the drop trap up there is not going to do much, because husks aren't going to be standing here. Unless they're coming from, like, this side, maybe they'd come around and cut across. But most of the time, they're not going to be standing here. What you could do, instead of the drop trap, you could put a ceiling round, since those will hit the tile next to them.
Ceiling electric field?
Yeah.
But sorry, I was thinking like there's like a ramp from over here. Zombies might come from here and might get hit from here while they're
It's possible. So if you take the farthest left that they might be going, it's going to be here. And then what's the shortest path to get into that tunnel? They're going to cut across like this. So they're only standing on this tile for like, they'll stand on this very corner of it while they're cutting across. And that's probably not long enough to get hit by the tires. In here, this is great. And then when they get out, you could actually here, you could go one tile up and put one tile up. You could do a ceiling round there.
I don't have those ceiling rounds.
Here, this is another place where the floor is going to make the husks break it. If anyone gets through, they're going to be bashing on these walls. And here, unfortunately, you can't do... Actually, no. Yeah. So here you could... Well, if we didn't have... We pretty much need to have something bashable here. Because if we do inverse pyramid, we still have to have a floor there. So I would just put the walls up like this and expect the husks are going to bash it. They're either going to bash on these, or they're going to come around the side there. So here, we could actually do low walls to get, keep the line of sight clear. And do that. In fact,
Wall dynamos also, right? For this?
you can use wall dynamos on low walls. I wouldn't use them here because they have a long reload time. Most of the time the husks are just going to be sitting there hitting the traps. And my dynamos have, what's the 6 perk on those? It's building health. The wall spikes are heal. So sometimes I'll put the spikes on the back side of something, just to heal it. Okay, this is probably pretty good. If they do come up this side, then what? We could even put low walls all the way around.
They can come through this much traps. I don't think they can come through this much traps.
Let's hope not. Well, this is a power level 76. This is probably overtrapped already. But just for fun. There. Since we know the husks have to come through here, we know they're going to bash on one of these walls, so... This is B right here. Oh yeah, they're totally gonna go there. So we probably should have something here. Blocking this off, I think, is a tall order. I don't think we can actually expect them to not go there. There's no spawn below. So, yeah. We should expect them to come through here. So, pushing them off the ledge, always great and fun thing to do. Fun and cool and good. And these wall launchers will go at least 2 tiles. Yeah, so this is about as close as we can get without getting broken. Yep.
Classes are going to start, so like I'm going AFK, okay?
Okay. Oh, I'll use flame grills here since this is a lightning mission. Flame grills normally not the greatest trap. Watching it all work from up there is cool. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to put down anti-airs. Well, let's do some of those. Oh, another good thing to know, lobbers, I think lobbers only attack us, they don't attack... They attack us, they attack defenders maybe, they don't attack the objective. So, if they're attacking the tunnels, that means we're standing on the tunnels. And, we can get off of them. They are attacking D. They're attacking D because why? Oh, I guess, well, maybe lobbers do attack the objective. Forget everything I just said. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never played this game before.
Looks like some of them are coming around here.
Now, does that freeze? Do they kill? Do they kill? Do the smashers kill? Yeah, kill the smasher. Nice. Now here I'm demonstrating the wrong way to watch your traps work. You need to be on the other side. Southeast towards C. Oh yeah. Oh man. Watching Husk go off a ledge.